Stream Elements says. Dice Baggery is now live streaming Just Chatting, Draw and Chat Pokemon inspired TTRPG.
Hey there, everybody. How's it going? This is Dice Bag, and we're gonna be doing some more art. Bet you never guessed that. We got a lot of art to do. Always have a lot of art to do. It never ends, this art thing. Gonna be doing this for the rest of my life. Alright, we're in the stream room. What we're doing today is I need to draw some art for Arbos. And, you know, all of them. For the whole family. The whole family. We actually got art for the other ones already. More or less. Kinda, sorta. But now I need to draw the middle guy. The guy in the middle. Let's see. Let's bring out what that is exactly. Let me show you. There we go. This guy. This guy is who we're going to be drawing today. And I think I got a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do with him. What we're going to be doing. So he's going to be kind of like so. Probably head around this way. And he's going to be like lifting a huge tree trunk or something over his head like this. Like so. Kind of like this, right? I'm already putting things on the page, and I wasn't really intending to actually start doing it right now. Then maybe we'll do a little foreshortening. Alright, something like so.
Solo the Nerd says. The character looked like if Tarzan was a squirrel.
Hey Solo, how's it going? He's really supposed to be more like a monk or martial artsy guy. That's why he's got the brown belt there. It's fur though, it's fur. It's not an actual article of clothing. He's just, you know, woven that part and tied it together to keep it out of the way. How's it going with you, by the way? Let's see. Why don't I get the whole head position right here. Helps with the whole sense of the viewing angle when you actually get the curvature of the head laid out there. I think we're going to need to actually make this significantly bigger.
Solo the Nerd says, doing just fine. Just started playing the fan game Pokemon Bazaar.
Pokemon Bazaar? I have not heard of that one. Never been big on fan games myself. Which might be ironic given that I'm making a Pokemon style game of my own. Let's see, let me get this reference up on my own screens over here. Alright. I've completely messed with my usual screen layout. Now my OBS is on the opposite screen and with all the chats, and then everything else is on the other side of the screen on the other side. Still not quite used to it. I think I figured things out since last time to keep things from crashing again. Hopefully. That was a great way to end stream though, just OBS crashing. Let's see. Yeah, that should work. This should probably be much lower, much slimmer. Kind of like so. This might go a lot faster than I expected. I was just gonna kinda sketch this out and send it to my assistant for the line art. I'm gonna have to find something else to do, it looks like. I have been working on some new systems for creatures, though. Well, maybe just one new system. I don't know. I'm not sure what constitutes a new system. It's kind of shaping up that creatures is just going to be like, almost like a collection of mini games that are run on a unified mechanic. I was playing around with the concept of investigations. Like how you could gamify those. And also procedurally generate them, which is another thing we want to do.
Pokemon Community Gami says, A wild Tagetic appears, catch it using poke catch, winners revealed in 90s.
Weird way to pronounce that, Geronimo. Togetic. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. We don't want this log to be too big. So let's go like so. Alright. So let's see. The nose on this guy should be about here.
Solo the Nerd says. Text-to-speech is not as smart as it should be by now, huh?
It's probably pretty old text-to-speech. It is just Microsoft David, which has been around for quite a while.
Pokemon Community Gami says. Tagetic escaped. No one caught it?
You know what? We're gonna have to make sure that the head is actually above the arms, or in front of the arms rather. We're gonna need to actually change the angle a bit. Let's move this more over this way. And then these are gonna be more like so. Yeah. Then we can start doing like so.
Solo the Nerd says. I find it weird when super strong characters have no muscle tone. Maybe give him a hint of biceps?
No! He's still immature. He's super strong because he's hopped up on martial creature essence. You gotta emphasize the magical nature of creatures. Ain't just super strong because he's got muscles, he's super strong because he's a magical being. His metamorphosis is pretty buff though. Here. If you want buff guys, this is the final form here. But this one is an awkward teenager.
Solo the Nerd says. Nice play of the coconut head with the acorn top knot.
Now, I'm pretty happy with the designs on these guys. They're simultaneously squirrels, acorns, and Asian stereotypes. Funny thing is, when I first designed these guys, they looked completely different. Well, actually, I only designed the first one. And he looked like a lot more like a regular old squirrel. But at some point I was like, you know what? That's not very interesting now, is it? So I did a total redesign. Oh yeah, this ain't gonna take long at all. In fact, I might be able to just, like, send this off to Patron as is. And he might be able to deal with it. I don't want to leave too much up for interpretation, though. Oh yeah, we gotta give him his freaking buck teeth. Can't forget that little detail. Add a little bit of detail on the tree there.
Solo the Nerd says. I bet his eyes under that hair are bloodshot at this age.
It looks like they'd be bloodshot in this particular scene. We can't show the eyes though. Gotta keep the eyes a mystery. You know what? He kind of reminds me of an Ed, Edd n Eddy character. Like, it's the freaking one
Solo
of the
the
Kanker
Nerd says,
sisters.
I'm guessing the name arbor is a play on trees in general?
Yeah. The name of the family is based on arboreal because they're squirrels and they live in trees. So we've got Arbo, Arbra, and Arbral. You know what? He should have like knobby knees. And this should be thinner.
Solo the Nerd says, I saw the Kanker sister reference. Loved watching Ed, and Eddie growing up.
Yeah, I wasn't really meaning to make these Kanker sisters reference. But it definitely has that kind of art style going on. Oh, that reminds me, I did a little meme drawing of the first member of this family that kind of reminiscent of Ed, Edd n Eddy. I might have been thinking of that. In fact, I should play it up a lot more for the memes. Let's see where it is. Where is it? Aha. There, he's stuffing his cheeks. Oh, the tail! I need to remember the tail. I always forget the freaking tails. Also the ahoge. This one's funnier than I remember it. Definitely need to draw more of these guys with big old nuts in their pouches. Give them even more furry bait.
Solo the Nerd says, Johnny 2x4, I presume? You're just missing Plank.
Johnny too. He does kind of look like Johnny, doesn't he? Now I'm trying to think of like a plank creature that I could make. I don't think I have anything close to that already. I'm definitely like subconsciously drawing from other references because there's a couple of guys I've drawn before that remind me of Aqua Teen Hunger Force characters after I drew them. Like Zorb right here, the Beholder analog. Dude's shaped like Frylock. Where's the other one?
Pokemon Communitygami says, a wild Celio appears, catch it using Poke Catch, winners revealed in 90s. Solo the Nerd says, That show does provide good material for character reference.
They're very cartoony. This guy. I drew him up and then I was like, you know what? His face kind of reminds me of Meatwad. So I decided to name him Rockwad. I think that was just going to be a working title, but I stuck with it. I haven't changed it back. Or to anything new.
Solo the Nerd says. This creature also has Planck energy.
Rockwad? Rockwad has Planck energy?
Pokemon Community Gami says. Celio escaped. No one caught it?
Thanks, Geronimo, but nobody wants Celio. Let's see.
Solo the Nerd says. Could work with a martial arts connection.
Oh, like breaking boards and stuff like that. What if I just said, like, as a flavor thing, like they have a tendency to like take berry juice and shit and like smear faces onto planks of wood before they break them. To represent their enemies.
Solo the Nerd says. That could work as good lore.
Okay, I messed that up. Man, Ed and Eddie was a good show. I think there might not be much else I can do to this guy that I really need to do. Oh, wait a second. I totally forgot. No, wait. Okay, never mind. Now, I was worried that I didn't have the YouTube chat on. But then I remembered YouTube chat doesn't need to be popped out to have the TTS, and I was like,
Solo
oh yeah.
The Nerd says.
Solo's been on
Favorite
YouTube chat
character
the whole
for
time.
me was Rolf. Loved his personality and pick Wilfred or something.
Yeah. Wilfred! Your hippie smart's the name of a shepherd. The son of a shepherd. I haven't done Rolf for... How does Rolf sound? Like, Ed, boys! He has kind of like a to his voice, but not very strong. Ed, boys! Something like that. Not quite though. Wolf was great. One of the best characters. Let's see. Let's save this guy. I'll go back to working on that freaking landscape I was doing before. Illustrations folder. Let's see. For the record, I'm naming this file Ed Boys in all caps.
Solo the Nerd says. Gotta love the hat of discipline. Massive hammer, all is forgiven.
Yeah. Let's see, what's the next one? I gotta go back and do the beef mounds again. Yeah. Whoops. Erasing things I don't need to erase there. Let's see, where was I? Probably should draw in like some bits of topology. Like this slope here. It's kind of weird. I usually don't do like line art when I'm doing landscapes. However, I feel like it's kind of justified in this case.
Bet Rolf would love the beef mounds. Maybe make some Ed, and Eddie inspired NPCs.
That's a great idea. I'll have to make like a farmer that's Rolf. You know what? I got a little faction that's the farmers union. Not so much a faction, I guess, just a guild that players can, you know, interact with as part of the lore. Maybe he can be the head of the farmers union or something. Just something else I need to do is draw up more NPCs. Especially like non-conjurers. Practically all the NPCs I've drawn are creature conjurers. But they shouldn't all be. Alright, back to drawing beef mounds, I guess. Oh yeah, this one... This tail is bugging me. It ain't... right. It just ain't right. This guy is drawn too... forward-facing from the front to be that long. We're gonna make him a little chunkier. Then the tail will kind of come from more behind.
Solo the Nerd says. Could call the NPC Raffred, syllable combo of Rolf and Wilfred.
Rolf would definitely have a bunch of pork lumps if he was in the creature's world. There we go. Ralfred will be a pork lump rancher.
Solo the Nerd says. Thought I should explain because I had a feeling the text-to-speech might mess it up.
Or I might just not get it. Which I probably would not have. I think my first thought was it's just like a... what do you call that? When you rearrange the letters in something. One of those. Whatever you call those things. And this guy needs horns too. You know, I've been kind of slacking this week. I had time off, but I have not yet gotten the solo campaign episodes figured out. Last week I was on the ball, but not this time.
Solo the Nerd says. The word we're thinking of four-letter jumble is anagram.
Anagram, that's right.
Pokemon Communitygami says. A wild bird might appears catch it using poke catch, winners revealed in 90s.
Thanks, Geronimo. You know what? What the hell?
Pokemon Community Gami says. Dice Baggery, you
Oh.
don't own that ball. Check the extension to see your items.
I don't have great balls anymore. Probably because I haven't been playing the game.
Stream Elements says. Good evening, mortal humans, make sure you subscribe to Dicebag and say hello.
Alright, let's give this guy a shaggy mane and some horns.
Pokemon Community Gami says. Bergmite escaped. No one caught it?
Oh. What was the point? Can't have no... I don't even know what that is. What's a Bergmite? A, Glacier Pokemon, perhaps? Can't have no baby glaciers? Whoops. Going around minimizing my thingamajigs.
Solo the Nerd says. Just waiting for Dale to show up. Bit lonely without him. Don't like hogging the chat.
That's fine. Not every stream is like particularly active in the chat. It's kind of a crapshoot. We don't always have a consistent crew. People might be a little worn out from the past week too, what with the elections and all that.
Solo the Nerd says. Beef mounds remind me of jumbo-sized swinubs.
I have thought about that as well. It kind of makes me think, like, how am I gonna consistently differentiate between, like, the creatures and the sub-creatures when they get weird like this? I'm just gonna try and kinda keep it so that sub-creatures are, like, they don't have any kinda human-like characteristics, whereas,
Solo the Nerd says. Lore question, what's the difference between male and female beef mounds?
They're probably hermaphrodites. What was I saying before? I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, with creatures, differentiating them. Like, creatures tend to be a little slightly anthropomorphized in some way or another. Even if they're like shaped like animals, they're kind of have humanized expressions and stuff like that. So I'm deliberately kind of taking away any kind of like expressiveness or anything from sub-creatures and making them just kind of lumps. That's something I will be avoiding when it comes to actually designing creatures. Make sure we don't end up with any swinubs that are kind of sort of looking like sub-creatures.
Solo the Nerd says. Might be an interesting lore side quest, humanoid creatures commanding other creatures.
Oh, that's definitely a thing. Maybe not specifically humanoid ones, but there's definitely some creatures that are already designated as like leader types that will gather other species and like make life hard for everyone else. Off the top of my head, the stronger members of the Flowsy family like to gather little gangs together from different creature species. The Horpit family also do that. Snellmits are often found with other creatures, although they're more like they tag along with them rather than like lead them. Speaking of, though, that's another thing. Speaking of Ed, Ed, and Eddie, where is it? This guy has like serious Ed vibes. Like, I can definitely see this guy just crawling around going, ho ho ho, ho ho ho. Eyes looking in different directions.
Solo the Nerd says. Ed, buttered toast.
Yes. Buttered toast. Let's see, is there anything else? Okay, most of these guys don't have their faces really visible.
Solo the Nerd
At
says.
least what's left of their
Your
faces.
voice is actually very close to Ed's voice.
Thanks, I think. I've been trying to work on my voice acting skills a little bit since I started VTubing, so I guess that's a compliment.
Solo the Nerd says. It was meant as a compliment.
You know, one I've never been able to get is freaking Patrick Star. You'd think he wouldn't be that hard, but I just can't get the way he talks. We don't need to draw all the mounds, do we? Maybe we do.
Solo the Nerd says. I've tried Patrick. His voice is very tough on the throat. Close to screaming / grunting.
Yeah, he's got some rasp in his voice, doesn't he? That stuff is always kind of hard to get without screwing up your throat.
Pokemon Community Gami says. A wild Slaycoat appears catch it using Poke Catch, winners revealed in 90s.
A slack off? We don't need no slack offs. Speaking of Pokemon, the freaking the whole TCG Pocket thing they've
Solo
been
the
doing
Nerd
is actually
says,
turning out pretty good.
Voice acting is like singing heavy metal music. They say if your throat hurts, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, it's true.
Cause I can do death metal, the kind of demon voice thing. That's actually not very hard, once you understand. It's actually just the same thing as Fat Albert, except with Fat Albert, you don't whisper, and you speak with an Ebonics accent, and pause every few seconds, so you can catch your breath, cause you're fat.
Pokemon Community Gami says, Slay Code escaped. No one caught it?
Yoda is also the exact same voice, just at a different pitch.
Hard to see the dark side is.
Yo, one thing I wanted to do just for the lulz is like a Fat Albert ASMR thing. I think that would be like stupidly funny. Not sure what I'd have Fat Albert say though. I'm not up to speed on my common ASMR tropes these days. Would you look at that? That actually don't look too bad. I keep looking over at the wrong screen when I'm trying to see OBS. Yeah, maybe I should start painting this in now. Let's see, what the hell
Solo the Nerd says,
are the colors
very
of...
nice. Maybe a way to make each beef mound different is either unique fur patches or horn designs.
I don't know if we want to get too deep into making them unique. That's going to take a lot of extra time. I gotta be economical. Definitely for something like this, where I'm just like laying out like a what would you call this? Like a concept art for it. Then yeah. But for this, I think we're just gonna kind of make them all the same breed. Specifically this one. Let's take them colors. Whoops, that's the wrong one. I'm just gonna fill in some of this real quick. Whoops. Now, how does that actually... Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to do a lot of highlights and stuff on the background. Now we're gonna get into the painting part, which is actually a lot faster than drawing. It's just a little bit uncomfortable because I don't have lines, and I like lines.
Solo the Nerd says. That concept art color adds to the swine of inspiration.
The way he said that, I didn't hear the Swinub reference. I heard it as swine of inspiration, and I was like, "What is this a Rolf reference I didn't know about?"
The swine of inspiration will determine your fate.
There we go, potential creature lore. Maybe that's for something for what's his name from the Farmers Union to have the swine of inspiration.
Solo the Nerd says. Swine of inspiration sounds like a special skill for Farmers Guild members.
That's actually one of the things I was working on recently, is like the less conjurer focused organizations and factions in the world. Specifically, I mentioned before that I was trying to gamify the concept of investigations and trying to come up with like procedural elements to add to it. And the Farmers Union was the main thing I was working with. Because I figure, like,
Solo
if you're
the
gonna
Nerd
be
says, add +4 to animal handling skill checks, perhaps.
like if you're gonna be a conjurer and stuff, who are the people that are probably gonna be hiring conjurers a lot? It's probably like the Farmers Union is probably gonna hire a lot of conjurers to deal with creature pests, getting in people's stuff, their crops, eating their beef mounds. I wanted to try and give it some character and have just some random kind of quests you could pull up on the fly. Gonna have to color in all these little udders. You know, when I first drew the freaking pork lumps, I gave them udders too. I think I removed those in a later version. Where the heck are the better ones? And those still have it. There they are. I just haven't exported this as an actual image. It's still the editing file. You're gonna have to do that sometime. Probably a lot of stuff up on the website that I still need to put up there.
Solo the Nerd says. Without the pink color, I assumed those were baby beef mounds or foot nubs.
Foot nubs. Nope. They are udders. For creatures to come and suck on. This guy got no horns. Let's just leave him like that. He'll be the sad mutant. Alrighty. That was the tricky part. Well, maybe not so tricky. Getting the grass and everything looking right. Probably going to want a fairly large brush. Now we're going to turn on pin pressure for the opacity. Drop it down slightly. Yeah, kind of like that.
Solo the Nerd says. A no horns beef mound is special. Could be a quest reward.
Let's see. This part gonna be like in the most light. Oops. I meant to paint that onto the layer above it, but oh well. Oh well. And as things get further back in the scene, they're gonna look more bluish. And that's definitely too far up.
Pokemon Community Gami says. A wild ninja appears catch it using poke catch, winners revealed in 90s.
Alright. So shadows are being cast in this direction.
Solo the Nerd says. Last week's tangent was Star Wars. Now it's cartoons. What will the next one be?
I don't know. Let's see, what's some other good cartoon lore we can talk about? If that's gonna be the topic. I haven't watched many newer cartoons these days.
Stream Elements says, good evening, mortal humans, make sure you subscribe to Dicebag and say hello.
I definitely should watch some that are slightly, like, past my time. I remember when regular show was first
Ninjas
coming out.
Escaped. No one caught it?
Like the pilot episode for it. I thought that was kind of funny, but I never actually, like, watched the actual show when it became a thing. Maybe I should go back and check that one out. Whoops. I hate that function.
Solo the Nerd says, if you want to get really old with cartoons, what's your feelings on the classic Tom and Jerry?
I don't know, it's... Classic Tom and Jerry is just kinda... basic old school cartoon slapstick. Nothing wrong with it. Maybe I just saw too much of it growing up, but... it was more like something I'd just kinda have on in the background just because I'm a kid watching Cartoon Network rather than actually desiring to watch it. Like, oh, another night at Grandma's house because my parents are busy, so I guess I'm watching Cartoon Network. What's on? Tom and Jerry? Oh well. I guess I'll watch that while I'm playing Magic the Gathering Chandelier on my grandma's PC. Which I probably pirated from some random website.
Solo the Nerd says, my favorite Tom and Jerry art was from the Chuck Jones era.
Yeah, I could not tell you anything about that. You're way into cartoon deep lore for me. '90s definitely had some good cartoons, though. '90s had SWAT Cats, Pirates of Dark Water, shows that a lot of people forgot about. Oh yeah, Batman the Animated Series was a '90s show, wasn't it? Surprisingly good for a cartoon at the time. Also, as a kid, I straight up thought that show was boring. And I went back and watched it as an adult, and I was like, this is so freaking good. First, I also had a sister that was It's like 8 years older than me. So I had a lot of VHS tapes of old 80s cartoons that I ended up watching too. I got a whole bunch of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe in my childhood that I can't get rid of. Also, another thing I went back and watched when I got older. Did not hold up as well as Batman, though.
Solo the Nerd says, I grew up with cartoons like Dexter's Laboratory, and some of the more kid-related shows of the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, Dexter's Lab was definitely a good one. I'm still often reminded of the parrot episode. You remember that one? I don't know why that one keeps coming up in my brain, but it does consistently. Worms and plastic minnows. The Florida Everglades. Some of those bits just had me laughing, even like regardless of me knowing the joke ahead of time. That was the thing with Billy and Mandy too. Also, I think made by Gendy Tartakovsky, I believe, both of those. But yeah, I've rewatched a lot of Billy and Mandy, and a lot of those jokes hold up over multiple viewings. Let's see, what else do we need to do on this thing?
Solo the Nerd says, only Dexter's episode 1 can almost clearly remember is the chicken pox episode.
Chicken pox. I do not remember that one very well. It rings a bell, but I can't think of what actually happened in it. I need to get me a better leaf brush, by the way. Let me see something. This one just ain't really gonna cut it. I need something a little more abstract. Maybe I can find one to download.
Solo
I'm
the
going a
Nerd
bit of a
says,
tangent right now.
DD talked about rapid chickens escaping prison and poking children while they slept. And scratching the bumps too much would turn you into a chicken.
Yeah. I definitely remember like a lot of the Dexter's Lab humor came from like him and Dee Dee being very childlike.
Solo the Nerd says, episode ended with Dexter becoming a chicken.
Let's see. CSP. Leaves brush. Now the freaking parrot episode had him starting off making this mechanical parrot that would basically just, well, it would parrot everything he said. So he would just sit there talking to it, and then it would repeat what he said, and he'd be like, "Ah, yes, finally somebody worth talking to." And then Dee Dee got in and did her usual shenanigans. And then it started saying things that Dee Dee would say, and so it pissed him off, and he beat it up, and it flew away into the rest of the house. and started causing havoc with the rest of the family. Like, it came up behind his dad and landed on the couch while he's watching fishing shows. And, it, like, starts screaming at him like Dexter screaming at Dee Dee. Like, "You're stupid! You're stupid! Get out, get out, get out!" And he's like, he, like, freaks out and starts crawling away like a defeated animal. And then he goes into the kitchen with the mom while she's cooking. And he starts saying things he picked up from the fishing show. So she's like saying the ingredients as she's putting them in, and he's repeating them, like a cup of cinnamon, a cup of cinnamon. And then he starts adding in his own ingredients, and he's like, "Worms and plastic minnows." She's like, "Where am I gonna get worms and plastic minnows?" "The Florida Everglades." And then it cuts to a scene of her getting in the car and driving away. And the comedic timing is probably not being portrayed by me very well. But trust me, it's good. It's good, I swear. I swear it's good. Let's see, how the hell do I install new brushes? It's been a while since I've done this. Add subtool? Download material. Okay, here we go.
Solo the Nerd says, "Your comedic timing is fine." On a separate cartoon note, I like the fact that Skips in regular show was voiced by Mark Hamill, the classic Joker.
Really? Let's see. Leaves? Of course, you can't see what I'm doing on the screen. I got a freaking window up, but it doesn't show. Okay, load up thing. Load up. A variety of leaves. Aha! There's the one I'm looking at. And it is free! Sign in required. Am I not signed in? How do I sign in from this window? It's thinking, it's thinking.
Pokemon Communitygami says, "A wild Pincurchin appears, catch it using Poke Catch, winners revealed in 90s.
The material has been downloaded. Download will start automatically on devices with Clip Studio. Okay. So... where is it?
Solo the Nerd says, "Also loved the Justice League action short where Mark Hamill was the only voice actor. Voiced Joker, Trickster, Swamp Thing, and himself."
Okay, hold up. We're gonna have to do some manipulation on this tool here. Let's see, brush tip, thickness.
Pokemon Communitygami says. Pincurchin escaped. No one caught it?
Okay, this might work. Okay, maybe not like that. Hold up. How do I make the particles bigger?
Solo the Nerd says. Safari narrator, here we see the artist in his natural habitat, experimenting with all his available resources.
Here we see the artist in the onset of mental illness. Brush density. Oh, wait. Wait, why are these grayed out? What's going on? Okay, if I make the brush bigger, it makes the particles bigger, but that's a really big freaking brush. I don't want to use a brush that big. It's weird. You know what? It might not be so bad. We'll deal with it. Let's see. So these trees are kind of on the yellowish side. So we'll paint in the shadow parts. Then we'll add in the highlights later. It's generally easier to work from like darks to lights.
Solo the Nerd says. First time being in one of your streams from the very beginning. Very relaxing and calming.
That's good to know. I tend to think I'm just boring, but glad that some people appreciate it. Alright, let's see. Yeah, that's not too bad. Need some more there. Then we'll give it like one more highlight layer. It's a little brighter. Do you like my Bob Ross talking about how I'm doing things? I'm not sure if that actually resonates with people, if they like to hear about the art process, or if they'd rather just me talk about, like, random things. Or about the game itself, that's another thing. Something I usually try to talk more about. Let's give it some deeper shadows here.
Solo the Nerd says. Color commentary is nice. Not only fills time, but gives us insight into the mind of your techniques and game development.
I suppose I shall keep doing it then. It's also just the easiest thing to do to describe what I'm actually doing at the very moment. Don't have to break my brain and split it into two different sections. You know what, though? Something about these needs to be dealt with.
Solo the Nerd says. Those topics are my favorite bonus features to watch on DVDs.
Let's see. Definitely needs something a little more dark for a lot of these branches and whatnot. They're practically black on the actual image. Okay. Could stand to throw some rendering on these things now. Actually, it might be worth just kind of throwing all the line art and the cartoony style of stuff into a folder and just render on top of that. Let's see. You know, the trees are
Solo the Nerd says.
way more white
Any
than I
small
gave
flying
them
bird
credit.
creatures you can add to fill in tree space?
I have flying sheep. I could definitely add a Nimba or two in there. Let's see. What was I doing? Oh, yeah. Edit. Tonal correction. Let's see. Let's knock off some of the saturation and... like so.
Solo
Yeah,
the Nerd
these
says,
definitely need to be not that
Wait.
light.
flying sheep, like when children are counting sheep.
They're like clouds. Cloud sheep. Alright, I'm definitely gonna take some liberties on this particular part of the art. Whoops. I'm straight up painting on the wrong layer. Common artist mistake. Let's see. That should definitely be a
Solo the
little
Nerd
darker
says,
and probably a little more
Good
brown.
thing you have a website to search through. Found the Nimba line.
Yeah, Nimba. Those are my EVs. Oh, one of my EVs. I like the Nimbas. Probably one of my better ideas, I think. Now that I think about it, I should probably try to use creatures that I haven't used that much already. I've actually got a couple
Pokemon Community
pieces of art with...
A wild Shedinja appears, catch it using
Shut up,
Poke
Geronimo.
Catch. Winners revealed in 90s.
I've already got a couple pictures that have Nimba family members in them, so... Maybe we should use something different, something else that's airborne, or Flill! Flill is a good one. He's also harder to draw, though. Okay, you know what? We're gonna just put a clipping mask over the line art here. I'm gonna make it all brown. Darker brown. More reddish brown. There we go. Maybe not that dark. There we go. We'll leave it like that. Close enough.
Stream Elements says, Good evening, mortal humans, make sure you subscribe to Dicebag and say hello. Solo the Nerd says, It's interesting that the Pokemon lore has Shedinja being a dead ninja's exoskeleton come to life.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird
Pokemon
one.
says, Shedinja escaped. No one caught it?
That was definitely like one of the surprises as a kid when figuring out how you get that thing. Probably one of their more creative methods of evolution. Actually pretty flavorful. Usually I feel like the weird evolution methods are just kind of gimmicky and lame. But that one I feel like I gotta give them credit because it's pretty flavorful and actually interesting. Now it's starting to shape up. Hello, somebody's in my chats. Hello?
Good evening.
Hello, Dale. How's it going?
I'm doing swell. How was the
Solo
art
the nerd
going?
says, Mantike plus Remo raid equals
Hold on.
Mantine. This
What was
makes
that?
sense because of real-world sea-life relationships.
I got
That's how the
Geronimo
art's going,
in
but
my
I also
ear.
see that on Discord it says you're playing a video game.
A video game? VTube Studio, you mean?
No, I think it's... Nah, I see what it is. It's just like one of your recent outings. It just pops up as if you're playing it currently. I don't know why
Oh,
it does that.
let me guess. Albion Online?
Yeah.
Some MMO I've been trying out because I'm bored. Oh yeah. Solo says, hello, Dale.
Greetings.
He was
Now,
waiting
my
for
question
you.
is... you probably shouldn't do that. That's an issue. Now, my thing is if you're bored, why are you playing an MMO?
Because I'm bored.
Yeah, but MMOs are boring.
But there's something to do. Also, I will play a game just to like see what its mechanics are like. If it sounds something like something that might interest me. And this
Did
one
it
in
interest?
particular billed itself as a completely player-driven economy. And I was like, that sounds kind of cool. And I would say that it is kind of the coolest thing about it, and also the worst thing about it. Because, like, what's the point of going out and adventuring if all the items are made by other players?
I think that was the problem with the Amazon one for a little while there, was that...
Amazon one?
Because, yeah, Amazon Studios released an MMO, and it looked pretty okay in terms of
Oh,
its
yeah.
aesthetic and basic gameplay, but it wasn't really unique either, and its big selling point was that all of the worlds had economies run by the players, and so in some worlds you'd have just monopolies, and in other words you'd have just no items being traded in certain areas because it didn't exist.
Yeah, no. That's... You definitely need some kind of thing to do other than just trade with other players. Let's see. Solo says, personally not a fan of multiplayer-focused video games because I don't know other people. Same. For the most part.
Having to interact with others is also very cringe.
Dang normies and extroverts. I'm gonna color correct an entire section of the background here. Wish me luck.
I don't
Let's see.
like. Now, I know I've seen these before, and I know we've talked about them numerous times. However, looking at their like udder legs is still uncomfortable.
They're not legs. They're just udders.
Yeah, but the way they're on the sides of them is like their legs sprawled out, and that makes. It reminds me of the TV show Spliced. It was a kid's show about
Spliced?
mutants.
Okay. We were just talking about cartoons and shit before you came in. I was showing Solo all the things that I subconsciously modeled after Ed and Eddie characters and shit. Oh, what is this you're sending me? Oh. Yeah, I have not seen this.
I don't think many people have.
I see what you mean, though. That... Yeah. What is this about?
Yes.
Yes? That's all you have to say?
I don't know how to describe it. It's some kid show.
Is it just a comedy?
Yeah, it's about like mutants on an island.
Okay.
I think there's like a genocide at the end or something, if I remember right. I don't know.
Oh, that's pleasant. Solo says my D&D group had our second session this past Sunday. We just received our first quest, a bodyguard gig. Already doing the escort missions, huh?
Already. I don't think I've ever run a escort mission yet.
That seems like a easy idea to throw in there.
Yeah, it does. I just look for an excuse to run the 2 more horrors whenever I can. Did that literally yesterday. Big fun.
Oh yeah. I don't know too much about specific modules.
It's good. It's so mean. It's like, yeah, yes, here's the dungeon that actively hates you. Have fun. Bring whatever you want, I don't care.
Solo says the poster looked like a kid-friendly version of the island of Dr. Moreau. I'm not familiar with that thing.
I'm not either.
Enlighten us, Solo. What is the island of Dr. Moreau, actually? Actually... How are things going in the land down under? We've had all kinds of shit going on.
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing's happened. Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
No crazy feminists doing things?
No, our news recently has just been like child murders and things like that.
Ah, okay.
So like, you know, things that we just don't really like bat an eye about, but it's also like more important than any things that are in the news. We mostly just get like secondhand regurgitated and misinterpreted stuff from your country. We just, you know, get cycled down a few times, pass through a few different filters, and then bam, we have no idea what's going on, but we all have strong opinions on this thing we don't know what's going on.
Sounds like an average European country.
Basically. Or Canada.
Also that.
We're just Canada of the Southern Hemisphere, let's be honest. Actually, no, New Zealand is more like that than us, but
Yeah,
close
probably.
enough.
Okay, Solo says... A sailor crashes into an island controlled by a mad scientist who creates animal-human hybrids. Don't remember the rest of the fun or plot points. Okay.
Oh, okay, so
Makes
it's like,
sense.
The Forest, those games.
I'm not super familiar with those. Have VTubers played them?
Yeah,
I feel like they have.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, the original Forest game was really popular for a while, then they made a second game, and it lasted like 2 weeks.
It lost 2 weeks?
It lasted 2 weeks.
Oh, lasted 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, I spent a lot of money on that to play with some friends, and we played it twice. Not worth. It's not great.
Oh, by the way, I just got a freaking Studio Ghibli style leaf brush because I didn't like the self-made one I was using, and it's kind of nice.
I'm always hesitant to use some of those pre-made brushes for like textures. Like, it looks nice, and I know it's the standard. I know everyone does it, like how everyone just takes these random stock photos and then puts them through a filter to make them look like they've done them with pen art and stuff like that. I know that's the norm, but it feels wrong. It feels wrong if I don't paint every single interlocking link on my Holberg. If I'm not the one drawing in that chainmail, it feels like I've cheated. Same with frills on like dresses and things like that. Or,
Dale,
like chains and ropes.
You are a madman.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not what anyone should do. But I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing. Like,
That's
you know
what we call mental illness.
Yeah, but I have the same reaction to that as how everyone else views AI art. Like, I look at these things like, what's the difference here? You're using someone else's art and then putting it through a filter and then claiming you did it because it's with something else.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I've got to draw every single chain link. I've got to draw the rope correctly. I've got to draw each frill by hand. Brand of hair.
And this is why I never see your art, because you never finish any of it.
That's not the reason, but like, it's a better excuse.
It's a better excuse than the one you have.
Yeah, we don't talk about it.
Solo says, looked up Island of Dr. Moreau on Wikipedia, found a mention of Spliced. There we go.
Actually, now that
It all
actually,
comes
now
full
that you mention
circle.
it does actually. I remember there is actually a character in the show. I think the character who made the island is called Dr. Moreau. I haven't seen this since I was a small boy. Okay, but now I think about it, it might be a direct reference.
That sounds likely.
There are some nice leaves, but like, you know, you could have
They're-
Bob Rossed it too.
Bob Ross has actual brushes that have actual textures to them. I have digital brushes and a stylus.
Yeah, and
And there's no texture to a freaking round brush. I have to add it myself. Also, hello Patty over on Rumble. How's it going? Nice to see you over here. We're just doing the Bob Ross thing right now. We got some beef mounds.
you're cheating. The Bob Ross thing is what you're doing.
I'm not cheating the Bob Ross thing. I'm doing normal things for that
No. Everyone
normal
but me is
painter,
cheating when it comes to
normal
art.
painters would be doing, except it's digital.
Yeah, no. Everyone else is doing digital art is cheating, but me.
Okay, Dale. Okay.
I'm gonna make a Twitter account just to personally go into like all of those artists who like specifically hunt down AI art posts and complain about them, and then I'm gonna be like I bet you use brushes, hypocrite. I bet,
No,
you-
that-
bet you use stock images and mood boards, you goddamn loser.
That's something that drives me crazy, though, when people say, like, oh, people used to hate digital art, but now everybody uses it. It's just like AI. Well, like, no, it's not just like AI. People hated digital art because they thought it worked like AI actually does.
There's also the thing is like people hate the new things when they don't know what they are. That's true, but also all of these new things tend to be different from each other. They all tend to work somewhat differently. Like digital painting has different skills involved than oil painting.
Yeah.
It's a different medium with different skills, and a different type of mind benefits from it.
Let's see. What is up, Patty asks? Well, I guess like I said, we're painting some landscapes for a lore video I'm working on. And Dale is spurging out about his artist's mental illnesses.
All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
Speaking of, I drew on the wrong layer earlier. I'm
Yeah,
ashamed.
that's what you get for being a cheater. all of you are fake artists, unlike me. Real artists don't get anything done. They just sit in pain.
Solo found an article on the show Spliced. Apparently the mad scientist was taken away and the animals were left to their own devices. I see.
I remember enjoying it. I remember enjoying like some of it, and then not others, because it relies a lot on gross out humor.
Oh, yeah.
And
Never
its
really
art
been a fan
style
of
is
that.
Fantastic with it. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it either. Like the worst episodes of SpongeBob are the ones that are gross out humor.
That was a big thing in freaking like Cow and Chicken that annoyed the heck out of me. Never could get into that show because it was just like 90% gross out humor.
Yeah, for me, a lot of the Cartoon Network stuff was that when I was growing up, like the late '90s, early 2000s stuff.
Of course, I was just talking about how much I love Ed and Eddie earlier, and that's got a lot of that in it. But I don't know. I feel like
But Ed and Eddie's art style is specifically prepping you for that. It's like
kinda, yeah.
It's like the opposite of Oggy and the Cockroaches, where it's like this doesn't look like it should be about gross out humor, and then it is. Whereas Ed, and Eddie doesn't do it a lot as much as it should, given its art style. It's like, why is this
That's
not just
true.
foul? And it's like, oh, it's because it's somewhat competent.
Yeah, it's actually not as much of a gross out humor show as the art style would suggest.
Yeah, it's more it's more idiot bashing than anything else, isn't it?
It's just slapstick. It's cartoon slapstick. Patty says he usually starts with pencil sketches and then ink digitally. Oh, I can't draw in pencil anymore.
I'm tempted to like I do that from time to time if like there's something I really can't do digitally, but I know I can do it with like pencils. I'll do that, take a photo or scan it, and then go digitally from then on.
Yeah, I'm too deep in the digital rabbit hole. I've forgotten how to draw normally.
Yeah, cheater.
Cheater.
Fake artist.
Cheater. Oh no. I say this as I'm literally doing an overpaint from an AI landscape I generated.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I was literally saying the same thing. So when I read Tomb of Horrors, one of my players was like, "I don't want to use AI art for this character concept." I'm like, dude, we're just playing a dumb dungeon that kills you all the time. Like, no one else is seeing it. You're not claiming you made it. Like, it's just for a gag. And
Yeah.
like, I used an AI generated image for a texture. AI didn't even give me what I wanted. Apparently, it doesn't know what a tileable texture is. Yeah, apparently they don't know what tileable textures are because none of them lined up. Which
Yeah, no,
I would have thought would be the easiest thing for an AI to do, is make a grid.
Hardest part about using AI is trying to get it to give you what you want. That's why I'm still doing like paint overs and stuff.
Hang on, no. Better. I've got an idea. I'm gonna see if ChatGPT can do it better.
Do what better?
Make a single JPEG.
A single JPEG? I use ChatGPT to make the one I'm working with right now, if that's what you're talking about.
So for Tomb of Horrors, you need a tileable texture, basically, of a mosaic floor that's brightly colored, except for the color red, because the color red is only on a certain pathway. So it needs whatever. It can have any colors except red. And I got those colors, but it just didn't tile it. And then the ones that looked the nicest had like a drop shadow around it, as if it only was like putting a spotlight in the middle. It's like, that doesn't tile up properly now, because now there's an obvious grid. I want it to look seamless.
Yeah, sometimes AI just doesn't get what you're telling it to do. And it's like incapable of getting it to. Patty says, I remember I drew exclusively on Procreate for 6 months just to learn it. First time I picked up a pencil, I drew a straight, in quotations, line. I can draw a straight line. Watch this. Bam. Oh, you know what? I just heard the I'm running out of battery sound from my headphones. Again.
Well, I've got some new news. ChatGPT has decided to give me a very good description of one. It didn't give me an image, but it's given me a step-by-step method of how it would do it.
That's nice. Why don't you just do it yourself, Dale? There you go.
Because I'm cheating, because I'm a fake artist.
AI says, I don't want to do that, do it yourself.
Yeah, just yelling at me for being lazy. It's like, but I just need it for one dungeon. Like, I don't want to make an
my
asset.
life easier.
Yeah. Like, if I wanted to do this, I could have done this in MS Paint. Like, yeah. I just wanted you to do it for me.
Solo says, apparently ChatGPT can be used to play D&D by yourself. Learn this from the DM layer on YouTube. I've tried that and not with a lot of success.
Okay, and ChatGPT says it's not allowed to send images.
ChatGPT has some issues with remembering what things happen.
Yeah, listen, we can't all be Zork, okay?
It might work better for just straight D&D though, because I was definitely using it to run a creatures game, and a lot of the time it's like,
yeah, it'll probably know
I
five
don't know what a creature is.
Off the top of its head.
It's like, what's a binding crystal? You can just summon whatever creatures you want, right?
You'd have to actually, like, give it a database of all that terminology and the effects of it, which would take probably a little while.
I have been gradually feeding it tidbits into its memory for one of the conversations I've been having with ChatGPT to help it give me ideas for more stuff to put in the game. And some of it's helpful, a lot of it's just it still just doesn't get it.
Listen, all I'm saying is everyone's afraid that these things are gonna take over the world, take over our jobs, and I'm seeing it it can't give me a 300 by 300 pixel JPEG.
Now, I think the thing we would have to be worried about is just that normies will eat up the generic slop that it can produce.
What do you mean? Did you not see that Willy Wonka factory one? That was so good. It was fantastic.
It was so good, yeah, and also people fell for it.
And when you looked at the images, it got more and more disturbing at how uncanny everything was.
Yeah.
These aren't normal. This is not how objects and shapes and lighting works.
But no, if you can manhandle the AI a little bit with your prompts and whatnot, and maybe do a little bit of editing, you can get something pretty passable if it's a really generic topic. But if you're doing something more like creatures that's very this hasn't really been done before in this kind of style, then I get nothing of use. This is actually starting to look better. Patty says, dude, I'm astounded at how bad people are at spotting AI-generated images.
To be fair, some of them can be pretty effective at masking as not generated.
Sometimes, but a lot of the times people are just
dumb,
not able to see it.
For me, there's that one particular style of that's basically churned out everywhere, especially on Pinterest, right? And it's the attempt to make an anime aesthetic more realistic. And for me, that one trips me up because I used to follow an artist whose art style was almost exactly that.
It's probably been fed his specific art style.
Thing is I think it's been fed lots of people's specific art styles. It just, the bits of it I recognize as what stand out to me. Because there are other things where it's I look at the cloth, it's that's nothing like how they would have drawn it. That's not how they do wet cloth or water effects, or how they do hair flowing in the wind. But that's how they do skin.
Solo asks, Dale, in D&D is Ravenloft really well PCs go to die? Is it really that hard of a location? That kind of depends on what edition, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're running the latest version of Curse of Strahd where they've desanitized and taken out all the cool things, then no. Then it's just down to, it's literally it's just some downtown street in the middle of the Balkans. It's yeah. Ravenloft's weird because it's supposed to be a real place that's shunted into a pocket dimension. If you want to do an interesting thing with D&D, I would recommend, honestly, in 5th edition, getting the good Magic the Gathering content for it, the Innistrad package. You only play as humans, you get a couple of new, Inquisitor-style backgrounds. Basically, you put Bloodborne stuff in there, and then you run that in Curse of Strahd. Because then everyone is stuck in this area, they've lived there their whole lives, they have a personal connection to Strahd, and they're all fit for a gothic themed setting. And that way you don't get the weird things like battle wheelchairs with magic missile cannons. Like, you don't get like werewolf player party members unless they get cursed eventually. You play like people going to Dracula's castle because they're fed up with this shit in a mob.
And Magic does have a lot of good settings.
Yeah, but they're good on their own, not in the grand scheme of them all quote unquote coexisting. But at least with like, I guess with the old Magic the Gathering stuff, at least their magic system was consistent through them all. But
Yeah.
we've had this discussion before.
Well, Innistrad is definitely like more built around that whole thing.
Innistrad is also, a lot of it is done by the dude who does Pathfinder's cool rulebook arts. And he's one of my favorite artists, so he has a very specific... It is a high fantasy art style, but it feels very grounded because it's very chunky and angular.
It's not
Like, it has a
Wayne
little weight
Reynolds,
to it.
is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god, you're a Wayne Reynolds fan?
I really like his art.
I do not like
I
his
don't.
art.
I have no idea about him as a person. I do not care for him as a person. Yeah, no. Some of his arts, like the way he does, like the there's like an ogre or something for one of the Innistrad cards, and I hate that one. It's definitely his art, and I like his art, but I hate that one in specific, and I don't like it compared to other art he's done. Like, I
Wayne
like how
Reynolds
he does dragons a lot.
can be like very hit or miss. Sometimes he does really
Yes.
good work, but then other times it's like, okay, this is clearly Wayne Reynolds because everything's drawn wrong. Everything's like
Honestly,
everything's
I
like
think
really
his
flat and
Pathfinder art is a
angular.
lot better. I think
Maybe
the art he
he's-
does for Pathfinder is a lot better. I can give
Yeah,
some
ma-
examples, actually.
He might just be phoning it in for Magic at this point. I don't know.
I mean, I think most Magic the Gathering artists are phoning it in after Wizards of the Coast. You know,
Maybe
everything. I'm trying to
Well,
think
I'm
of other
like way
MTG
back
artists I
in.
like the ones who did all the art for the Warhammer stuff are pretty good. And I know that a few of them do art for like what was the Egyptian themed setting?
Amonkhet.
Yeah, that has a lot of nice art in it. I stole a lot of art from that for D&D. But you're absolutely right with like Wayne Reynolds. Be really good with shapes, not good with 3 dimensions.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a
Absolutely,
description of him.
they're very flat. But I'm okay with that personally.
He definitely
I
has.
mean, a lot of my art is very flat, to be fair.
His stuff is like really chunky, and all the armor he draws looks like it looks like flat shapes. That's my big gripe with him.
If you were to interpret his art into like a video game, it would have to be very low poly.
Yeah, that's true.
Low poly, but high texture.
You know, this is the first time I've actually had a conversation about Wayne Reynolds with another person. This is literally just all my like shower thoughts about that guy and his art.
No, I've opened up Pinterest and I've immediately got ones that I think are good and ones I think are bad. Back to back. Because like I'm not a big fan of his backgrounds, quite frankly. Like I don't think they're done in the same kind of art style as a lot of the other things he does, like his character art.
Might be the case. I
Some of
definitely
them are
don't
better than others.
paint backgrounds in the same style as when I draw characters myself.
I mean, that's not uncommon, but like the way for like some of these that Wayne Reynolds does, it's like, what have you done? Oh, like, hang on. So, it's hard because I got pushed to talk on.
Say what?
I got pushed to talk on, so I'm like struggling to do like multiple things
Oh.
at once.
Okay. Well, anyway, Solo says, I literally started playing D&D 2 months ago. I'm that complex as a video gamer, but not as a TTRPG player.
Well, Like, are you specifically playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then what kind of edition too?
Probably
if you
5th
want-
edition.
Because if you're looking for something that's more akin to video games, you need to look at a different system. Like, I don't mean that as in, like, don't play 5th edition, even though that's my normal response to people. Like, 5th edition's pretty good for your first RPG, though. It works fine. But if you want something more akin to, like, role-playing games in video games, you're gonna want to look at older RPGs, including older D&D editions. Or some of the newer ones that use, like, action point systems. I'm trying to think of examples that aren't Pathfinder 2nd, because as much as that's the go-to for me, it does have a lot of flaws still. D&D has definitely some of the most iconic stuff in it, though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like, I do want to run, like, I converted Tomb of Horrors to Pathfinder 2nd edition because it doesn't have a conversion yet. And it probably never will. And it works better in 2nd edition Pathfinder, because 2nd edition Pathfinder is like 4th edition D&D. Which had a conversion for Tomb of Horrors.
It's like 4th edition?
Yeah, the way it does feats is like 4th edition. But its actions are like Divinity Original Sin.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. It's something that, like, clearly I need to like show people how it works, because it's interesting, and D&D's action economy is like one of my big main issues. That and like poison isn't like a persistent damage that keeps poisoning you over time. Like there's no damage over time effects in 5e.
What? That's weird.
Okay, I've got some Ryan Reynolds art. I've got a piece of art that I think is good Ryan Reynolds next to one I think is not very good. And it's the newer one that I don't like as much. Like, I'm a big fan of that one Mind Flayer image he did for, like, what, 3rd edition or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's definitely like a dichotomy of Wayne Reynolds art.
There's just some that are, like, very silly that I like this guy in fish armor.
Fish armor. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the, like, animal-themed armor and weapons. Oh, you know why I'm so comfortable with the way he does shadows and lighting? It's because it's like Mark McBride's.
I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Of course you wouldn't. He did the covers for a series of books released by an Australian author called Del Toro Quest.
Oh, okay.
And I grew up with them. And the way he does art is interesting. It's a very nostalgic style for me, but it's not one I'm particularly fond. Like, I don't particularly like it either. It's strange. I look at him like, yeah, that's my boy, and then I look at it and go, I don't think it's that aesthetic.
That's like me with Masters of the Universe.
Like, it's all just text. You know, the way he paints, actually, Mark White, looks like how an AI jams textures together to try and make an image. But that's just how he paints.
Okay, Solo says we're playing 5e and integrating 2024 updates as the new books come out.
Okay, do you want me to go on my rant about 5th edition's new stuff? And I don't mean the art direction.
You might as well. Dale is becoming a grognard in
the first time I ran D&D,
real
like
time.
the immediate, like I mean the first content I watched people play was in Pathfinder First Edition. Like, the first thing I ran was the Tomb of Horrors. Like, I've got a lot of secondhand nostalgia for the old things. Like, most times when I start a new campaign, it doesn't matter what system I'm running in it, I'm running a First Edition module.
Hmm.
I'm like a fake old man when it comes to these things. A lot of the benefits, I think, from the new edition of D&D that's just come out, I think 5.5 is a strict improvement over 5e. The problem is it improves things that didn't need to be improved in some cases. It made magic worse, its balance is worse magic now.
Oh, yeah.
Because instead of nerfing it, they just made everything stronger. The player balancing ranges. So, we'll just do Ranger for now. Ranger had a problem in 5th edition. I played a lot of Rangers because it's my favorite class aesthetically. Where you have to have magic. But you don't cast a lot of magic, and you're very restricted on the type of magic you use. But your entire class revolves around one spell, and that's Hunter's Mark. All of your features revolve around it. And so the solution to that, you only get 2 Hunter's Mark at like level 1, for example, and you only get like 6 in total or something. At the very end. Like, you don't get a lot. Wizards of the Coast solution was to make it always prepared and it doesn't count against your prepared spell slots. Every other game system's thing is, that's not a spell, that's a class feature. You have it this many times per day, like other classes have with their class features.
Yeah.
Like, it's the core mechanic of the class, and you are heavily restricted on it. Meanwhile, the core mechanic of the Paladin uses spell slots, but you can still use it without them in certain ways, in certain scenarios.
Okay.
You know, like, the core mechanic of a fighter is the movers, and you get, like, a special die that is your resource pool for that. Like, why not just do that? Give me a D8 Hunter's Mark, and then 2D8, and then 3D8.
Now
It's fine.
That's how a lot of this stuff was done in, like, 4th edition.
Yeah.
Like, classes like the Ranger that were, like, very focused on being damage dealers would just be able to, like, single out a specific enemy and, like, deal extra damage to those guys with one of their
And it also
class
doesn't
features.
help is when you pick a Ranger in 5th edition, you have to do spell casting, because that spell is your core character concept. Your entire class revolves around that one spell, and then you have some other spells to go with it, but they're not that great, but your damage output isn't as good as a normal fighter, so you have to use them. Pathfinder 2nd edition solved this problem by making the Ranger not a spellcaster, but instead making it a focus fire character. You target an enemy, and you're particularly good at attacking that target.
Yeah, that's
You can
like
then dip into
that's the
spellcasting.
4th edition
Yeah,
style.
I think 3rd edition kinda had that as well, to a degree. Where it was less spellcaster focused and more martial focused.
I don't remember too much of Rangers from 3rd edition.
That's because everyone played the other hybrid classes instead. Like, another problem I have with 5th edition is psionics. Psionics are my favorite thing in RPGs, because I like that they're not magic, but they're still a magic system. And so mechanically they should reflect that. They should be alien from the magic system. They shouldn't, you know, be able to be detected by magic and so forth. But they also shouldn't be able to interact with it the same. And that's really tricky to pull off. 5th edition just doesn't bother.
Especially
It just says
with,
that you just don't do casting materials.
especially difficult when you're dealing with game systems that typically you want to have things that are kind of uniform mechanically, or at least
Yeah.
not so far out there that they just function on completely different rules.
For me to glaze Paizo again, right? They released a class not about a year ago called the Kineticist, and it released with just after they released their Psychic version, which is like their attempt at the Psionicist, but the Psychic is just a spellcaster. It's a cool spellcaster, but it's just a spellcaster. The Kineticist uses psychic abilities to move elemental magics. So none of their abilities are magical. They're all feats that just have elemental traits.
Interesting.
And the way that it's done is the way that other classes do their special things, like how paladins would use their like reactions and tenets and things like that. And it's basically how I would build a psionicist in these kinds of systems. It's like you just give them abilities that can be nullified by mundane means and not magical means. They're kinda magic, but they're also not. But I also like the idea of the psychic backlash, of like amping up your psychic abilities, but then that does mental damage to you and it can kill you. Which is a very second edition D&D thing. Very, very much a Warhammer Perils of the Warp as well.
Yeah, I know 4th edition tried to really throw in more stuff to make psionics different, and they ended up just like making a completely different resource system, which was kind of weird because everything else functioned on the same basic mechanic.
Yeah, because like everything basically worked like how spellcasting does in some systems for 4th edition, doesn't it? It was like you've all got power charges, but everyone's work differently depending on what class you're on. Like, they all fundamentally work the same, they just have different names and different, like, sub-effects.
Yeah. I'm starting to really like this piece.
I found one of my least favorite Wayne Reynolds art, which I'm sure you're pretty familiar with.
Oh, from a Lorwyn one?
Yeah, so some of his MTG stuff I'm just, like, not a fan of. Or his, like, very early Pathfinder art.
Yeah. I don't think that one's too bad. It doesn't have like the hallmarks of Wayne Reynolds that I really dislike.
There's also a difference, because... So, like, I've just posted one of his newest pieces for Pathfinder. You can tell he does the same kind of shape theory, right? But something about them is also different. Like, not just in terms of their for different settings with different aesthetics, but even though I don't like that Magic the Gathering one, it has a distinct character to it. That the one at the bottom doesn't have as much of. Like, you can tell that he hand-painted it. Whereas the bottom one's like, this looks digital art.
Yeah, the Ashling one is definitely like a more stylized.
Yeah, it's something about it just sparks me. It's like, I really like the overall composition and design of the newer piece, but it's less memorable.
Also, this second one has a lot of the Wayne Reynolds stuff that I'm not fond of. Even if it is like more detailed. That does look like garbage.
It's so weird, isn't it? It's like, it looks like it's been like broken 700 times over and then twisted around itself.
He also has this tendency to just like draw shit flying off of his characters. Like, look at this ogre. It's got like things ripping off of its freaking clothes and stuff. Just like, that's not rocks.
Oh yeah,
or anything.
I didn't even notice that his clothes is just bursting off itself for some reason. That's weird.
You see that kind of stuff all the time in his art, and it kind of bugs me. Like, if there's kind of
if there's fabric, if there's fabric, it has to be blowing in the wind in some direction, even if it's two different directions. That is a thing I've noticed. And that's something as whenever I draw art, I'm just like, oh, I want to make this a bit more dynamic. And then I realize, wind blows in one direction.
Mm-hmm.
I've got things blowing in 3 different directions. I have to change this. Well, as he doesn't seem to do that, because
no.
Where's like the picture? The latest one is you can't really tell where gravity is. You can't really tell where the wind is blowing, if there's an updraft or not. Like, it's just a dynamic for the sake of dynamic, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
It's too busy. The action is too busy. That's what's going on. Well, as in the MTG one that I don't like nearly as much, the fire suffers from it a little bit, but at least most of it's going in the same direction. Like, it's going in the same direction as the cloth.
Yep. What was I just thinking? Oh well. Anyway, Solo says the rogue subclass I'll be choosing when I reach 3rd level is the Soul Knife. My story will have his power come from my character's part celestial nature. Huh. Is a Soul Knife like a...
Soul Knife is supposed to be
Psionics
one of the psionic ones. It's supposed to be, but that's not how 5th edition does psionics. And that's a shame, because Soul Knife in 3rd edition? No, 1st edition... No, it's 4th edition. The 4th edition Soul Knife is one of my favorite interpretations of it.
I don't remember the 4th edition Soul Knife.
There's a particular build for it where it basically is... You just
Oh wait,
carry
was it a
crystals around.
Paragon path or something?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And there's a particular build of it where basically is you actually capture the psychic powers of people when you kill them, and then that's your charges for certain abilities.
I see.
Which, not usually my dynamic, but, you know. I play Chaos and Warhammer, that's very Chaos. Like that's what a Lich would do if he was a rogue, yeah?
Pretty much.
I'm trying to think of other Magic the Gathering artists that I like, because I tend to like the artists that do work with Cobalt Press, and I think a lot of them do Magic the Gathering art.
Oh, there's one guy that was particularly good. I can't remember what his name is off the top of my head. Hold up.
I mean, the old Magic the Gathering art of the skeletons and the ship with the turtles and stuff. Peak.
Oh yeah, Steve Argyle. He does a lot of nice-looking ladies.
Ah, yeah?
Oh yeah? Yes.
I think he's done 4th edition art, actually, as well.
Probably.
I know it... Yeah, that's why I remember him. He's done some of the Warhammer art for Magic the Gathering, too.
I remember his art better than I remember his name.
That's pretty common, though, to be fair.
True.
Who did the who does the art for? I think we've talked about it before. There's this one Magic the Gathering thing, and it's like this big lady made of bone and sinew with like a big head crest.
Right, Elish Norn.
Yeah, whoever does like the majority of the art for those, I really like that. I like that art direction a lot.
Let's see. What is this? Where's the original one? Freaking Magic Gatherer.
Speaking of card game art, my friend convinced me, very, very loose words convinced, to get back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Through Duel Links.
Oh no.
And by my friend convinced me, I mean, I had a look at some of the new art that was on promo, and I'm like, why did this game have all of these card game art of aesthetics that are like, yes, I want more of these, I want these framed on my walls after I retire? Like, the Evil Twins, why do they exist now and not when I was playing competitively?
I don't know. I don't even know what that is.
Oh, the Evil Twins are VTuber live streamers.
Oh, of course.
And their entire scheme is that they're just, and that they are actually supervillains in disguise, using their influence to gain money and stuff. As they rob banks and skyscrapers. I had to explain to Koheth recently that D&D cards have lore that are in-universe fiction.
D&D cards? You mean Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, sorry, my bad. That's the next Yu-Gi-Oh crossover we see is D&D. Yeah. But it's like the lore of the Evil Twins cards is not canon to any of the Yu-Gi-Oh series, as far as I'm concerned, or know of. While some cards do.
That freaking bugs me that the Yu-Gi-Oh card game has lore.
I kind of like it, because, like, Burning Abyss and a couple, I think 2 other archetypes, are a small narrative about warring factions of hell and heaven, and like aliens and stuff. And it's consistent within itself of its lore, and you can see it in the card art of them fighting each other, and it doesn't like interact with other cards from other sets too much.
That's the thing, like it doesn't interact with other things. It's just like every card is just kind of its own thingamajig.
Well, then, not all of them. It's just like, because again, you get sets like Clyforts, for example.
I don't know
Clyforts
what
and
that
Shadows. They're 2 Yu-Gi-Oh archetypes.
Okay. Nerd.
Yeah, but like the Shadow and the Clyfort cards, those are 2 factions within one canon, or that exist within themselves, right? And it doesn't interact with like Blue Eyes White Dragon. Just why would it need to?
Now that's one I understand. I still don't know what Blue Eyes White Dragon lore is.
Oh, it was a demon from ancient Egypt that Pegasus had nightmares of, and so he painted it. But it turns out they're real monsters. I would like to remind everyone that Seto Kaiba literally nukes himself into the center of the planet in order to lose a card game in ancient Egypt. He kills himself to time travel to play a card game. And he just says to his brother, "I'm going now, bye."
Okay. So it says watch Yu-Gi-Oh! From original through Zexal. Drawn and digital art of these series is super nice and clean.
There's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! I really like. I mean, have you heard of the Burning Abyss cards by chance?
I've heard of them, but I have no idea what they do because people just bring them up, and I don't know any Yu-Gi-Oh! Other than I hate it.
You don't. So I'm just talking about its art style, right?
Okay.
It was really controversial because its art style was super clean and super different from everything else. It wasn't anime at all.
Okay.
Well, it's an anime card game.
Right.
But Burning Abyss has very nice art. And yeah, it was controversial because it had art that wasn't anime art.
Makes sense.
I mean,
Dang
looking at them
tourists.
now, they are still very anime, but like, definitely not the styles that were around that at the time.
Is it like AI anime?
No, it's just very different. Trying to find another set of cards that came out around the time. Oh, I should compare it to Subterrace because they're a kind of similar concept. But Subterrace have really nice art, but Subterrace are very anime.
Bro, this is looking really good, actually. I should paint over AI art more often. I'm gonna have to hurry it up because
it is a useful tool for these kinds of things, isn't it?
my headphones are definitely gonna give out on me at some point. So what are these you're showing me?
So the one on the right-hand side is the Subterra, and the one on the left is the Burning Abyss art.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a lot more painted.
Subterra was a lot more common of the kind of art style that was around when Burning Abyss came out, and Subterra's a card type. They came out about almost a decade after Burning Abyss.
It still looks like a pretty typical anime orc type of creature.
Yeah,
But
and
like
that's the digital
style...
art. Like, think of it on the small, because Yu-Gi-Oh cards are smaller than Magic cards, right? And they have less room for the art.
Right.
So think of it shrunk down a bit, and then with all the secret rarities and things like that, and it just when you couldn't see them, they just didn't look like anything else in Yu-Gi-Oh at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They looked more like something from like not like Magic the Gathering, but like something more like an American card game.
Like it's
when it came to its
definitely
art
more
direction.
of painterly style than a drawn style
Yeah.
with line art and everything.
And then after Burning Abyss, they came out more types that were definitely like that came out more like physical paintings of like acrylic paints and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like now people just don't care, but when Burning Abyss came out, it was a big deal because they hadn't seen like physically painted Yu-Gi-Oh cards since like what, the original run that was made by the guy who made the manga.
Let's see. We're gonna have to add some highlights on these freaking mounds. Let's get us an overlay. Oh, Dale's over in the freaking comments again. No wonder he's being quiet.
I'm getting pictures to show some more Yu-Gi-Oh. So I'm just posting now some of the Evil Twins cards,
Mm-hmm.
and I mostly got it because I'm like, these outfits are great. Why have I not seen these before? And I'm like, cool, these are going in the art folder for inspiration now, or like, you know, whenever I finish, you know, any project, I can start a new one. And this one's one of my favorites because it's called GGEZ. That is literally the name of the card. It's just GGEZ.
It's got some like panty and stocking vibes going on, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely it does, and I'm all for it.
Have you seen the new HoloLive generation they popped out?
Maybe. I know. Is it? Sorry, I keep getting clips for some of the HoloLive members that are like around at the moment, and I'm
Around?
yeah, they're like the EN ones that like all have thick accents because they're not native English speakers.
Justice.
Yeah, and I'm just like, this is mid.
No, the British one, can't stand her accent.
So what's the new generation called then?
Okay, they got a new Japanese one called Flogalo, and it's literally just like an idol group.
That is an awful name. Also, I love how like Gora is like still like at the top of like all of the ranks, and meanwhile streams very little.
Yeah, that's interesting.
How do I spell this new generation name?
Flow Glow.
Awful name.
I like the
Oh.
design on the Loli character though.
I'm gonna say something that'll have all of the weeaboos in chat mad at me. These look like they look like they're different costumes for existing members.
Kinda, yeah.
Like, the one that doesn't look the most Hololive to me is the pink-haired one, because it looks like if Chibi Doki had a more Hololive design.
That's true. I get what you're saying. I'm not particularly fond of the idea of having VTuber generations that are just idol groups. It kind of defeats the point to me. This is the second time they've done that.
I'm not sure. I think out of the designs, my favorite one is the one at the far right from this picture. But it also looks like the most generic out of them when it comes to, like, the kind of independent VTuber you'd see on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
I think I've seen this character concept 40 times.
Which one is it, did you say?
Rindo, I think they're called.
No, which one on the picture?
The very right-hand side. However, I've seen another picture just scrolling down here of the blonde one, and the blonde one has a different hairstyle and it looks a lot nicer.
Oh, yeah? I was saying earlier, the blue-haired one looks like Pekora and Korone had a daughter.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, they've got a music video that has different outfits, and they look a lot nicer. Some of these.
Oh, music videos always have them in like different outfits for the most part.
I mean,
for the
I'm of the opinion that I know it's a sin in character design, but your character should change outfits every so often. I know the reason why you don't. It's so you can keep them consistent, and that way, when they have a silhouette, you always know it's them, and it's brand recognition. It's easier for the audience to not forget who they are, and also just not confuse them if they have a similar voice to someone else. I get it. There's lots of reasons.
Dale likes fashion, and he wants to design new characters.
Exactly. Exactly, because it's fun. And also, people don't tend to wear the exact same outfit every day for a month. They tend to cycle through a couple of shirts at least, you know? Even if it's the same generalist, like, vibe as the other one, a new t-shirt or a different pair of shoes, it works, okay?
That does make me wonder just how much of a difference you could get away with and still make the character look, like, recognizable. The best design?
Yeah, 100%.
You just like that her tongue is sticking out.
Oh no, I like how the entire aesthetic is danger vibes.
He likes the danger hags.
Yes. I'd watch more of the Floor Hag streams. However, half the time she's playing things that I'm not interested in, whereas I'd rather just watch her open card packs at this point, which is the exact opposite of what I usually watch VTubers do.
I haven't watched much of her at all.
It's alright, it's alright.
When it comes to Flort girls, I'm more interested in, like, Ines. A German cockatiel girl.
Yeah.
I like her voice.
The other girls also have the thing of they've been doing this for a little while independently.
Yeah.
And so, like, they kind of understand the environment they're in. Like they already had a fan base, and they already knew how to cater to it as well.
Yeah, Ines already also hangs out with some of the other VTubers I'm familiar with and watch some.
Yeah,
like,
that would help.
What's her name? Fallen Shadow. She's funny. I like Shadow.
I'm a fake VTuber fan. I don't actually like VTubers. I just
You
like
keep
the
saying
outfits.
you keep saying you don't like VTubers, but you know an awful lot about them for somebody who doesn't like them
I
at
know
all.
enough. I also apparently follow VTubers who like jump on podcasts and things like that quite often, who just
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about VTuber drama, and they always go, yeah, women are awful. It's like, but you are a woman, and like she's like, yeah, and I'm in it for the sexism.
That's very much a Fallen Shadow thing to say.
Oh, here's a classic Yu-Gi-Oh art. So some of the old Yu-Gi-Oh art styles are just peak. Oh, you know what's something that has really nice older art? Shin
What?
Megami Tensei.
Not super familiar with that one.
You've probably seen the art from it before. Like you've probably seen Mara from it because it's just giant penis monster.
I mean, I've probably seen a lot from it, but I don't know what it is. I wouldn't recognize it as such.
You know what Persona is, right?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, Persona's a spin-off of SMT.
Oh, really?
And SMT is based very heavily off like 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons in terms of how it does dungeon crawling. Like it's an old kind of dungeon crawler in that sense.
I see.
And the original art direction for all of the SMT games, big fan. Newer stuff is a bit too generic anime in most cases. I'm trying to find a good one. Oh, there's... It's hard to find iconic SMT art that isn't just naughty bits, because they're the most striking ones of them. Oh, Minotaur's a classic.
So it says, I'm guessing you're not a big gamer then, considering your love for Yu-Gi-Oh? Dale, are you a fake gamer girl?
Oh, I'm absolutely a fake gamer girl. I'm absolutely a fake gamer girl. No, I grew up with Yu-Gi-Oh, so I used to play, so I got into it semi-competitively. So I just have a lot of nostalgia for Yu-Gi-Oh. It's one of those things. It's like I grew up with Star Wars. I have a lot of nostalgia for Star Wars. A lot of new Star Wars though I don't like, and I will complain about it to no end.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like I complain about these things primarily because I really did like them, and they do not meet the standard they used to be in a lot of directions. Because Yu-Gi-Oh as a card game is a mess. It's very much a mess. But in terms of video games, I tend to be very picky with RPGs and card game style video games. I don't even know what I'd call my particular type of video. I guess hack and slash. I like games with a lot of in-depth combat. I don't know. I used to play video games a lot, and then I went to school to study how to make video games, and that's
And
one
now
way
he
you
hates
don't
them.
play video games. That's one way to get you out of playing video games for a while, yeah.
What are you showing me here?
I don't tend to like crossover projects when it comes to official things solo. Because, for example, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Are very different types of games with very different types of appeals. Like, the appeal of Pokemon is that it's baby's first RPG to me, and the appeal of the Pokemon card game isn't one. Because the Pokemon card game is bad.
It does.
It isn't designed. It was designed to trade the cards, not to play the game.
I will go out on a limb and say the Pokemon Pocket TCG or Pokemon TCG Pocket mobile game that they put out actually kind of waters it down, but also fixes some of the issues with it.
Yeah, I hear that there are some custom formats that are pretty good for it as well. But at that point, it's like, how much are you changing it to be a different game?
Yeah.
Is it like Goat format Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you just use a different ban list and set of cards? Or is it like you actually change the effects of certain ways the game mechanics run?
I think they might have like completely different cards for the Pocket Edition.
Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Did that actually as well. They had a thing called Speed Duels, and the effects are like almost identical for most of them. It's just you have a smaller field, so instead of 5 cards at the top and bottom, you've got 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom. And
okay,
your
that's
life points are
actually
halved.
a lot like what Pokemon is doing with this thing, because they've got it so, like instead of having prize cards as like your win condition, where you, anytime you knock out a Pokemon, you draw a prize card, and when you got all your prize cards drawn, of which there are 3, you win. Instead of that, they just have points. So when you knock out a Pokemon, you get a point. And you only go up to 3 points rather than 6 prize cards in the Pocket Edition. But they also did away with the concept of energy cards. And you just kind
of... one of those weird things where it's like it wants to do Magic the Gathering's resources, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, this, in the Pocket Edition, they just generate energy like each turn.
That sounds a lot better, like even without seeing it in practice.
Yeah, I haven't... It kind of defeats the purpose of some of the things, but...
Oh yeah, there's lots of trainer cards that would just be null in that effect as well.
Oh yeah, they definitely changed those. They've got trainer cards that, like... attach new energy to your Pokemon, and it's not like... It's definitely been adapted for that, so... I wasn't even sure how they worked at first, because the way they worded it was like, I don't know, what? Attach energy from your energy zone. Don't you just do that every day, or every turn? And, no, apparently attaching energy from your energy zone means that you generate new energy by doing so. I had to see it in practice before I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I always get skeptical on card games that are very resource management heavy, because the moment you make one, everyone compares it to Magic the Gathering, saying you're just copying Magic the Gathering's resource management. But the problem with that is Magic the Gathering has the best resource management.
Yeah, it's
true. Really hard to make a good resource management. Like, the second best one I can think of, I hear Sorcery is pretty good, but that comes to mind is Flesh and Blood, because it's just Magic the Gathering's resource management, but less of it.
Basically,
which works for Flesh and Blood, but wouldn't work for other card games.
Yeah. Alright, this thing I gotta do something about with. There's too much line art showing through here.
Okay, I'm here to talk more Yu-Gi-Oh! So I'm going to explain. So, guys, you're probably familiar with the PS1 video game Forbidden Memories, right?
Probably not.
You've probably heard of it at least in... Yep, PS1.
No.
And it's a game, it is the notorious Yu-Gi-Oh! PS1 video game, by speedrunners for how RNG heavy it is. like you can get bricked so easily in that game.
I'd imagine so if it's anything like playing an actual.
No, it doesn't play
TCG.
like Yu-Gi-Oh. It
Does it
doesn't
not?
play like Yu-Gi-Oh at all. The way it does fusions and summons is very different, right? Because this is an old Yu-Gi-Oh game, right? And it's a single-player game, so it's all puzzles. It's technically a puzzle game, and it is an experience. Like you can lose the tutorial very
You can
easily.
lose the tutorial.
Very
Okay.
easily. I know, I have done it. Do not recommend, but it's kind of interesting. Like, I have the old jewel case for it and everything.
Really?
Like, I just found it at a garage sale at some point, played it, and was like, I gotta learn how to play this. Never did. It made me cry. Little baby boy Dale couldn't stand it. So I went back to my other hard game of choice, which was Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses, which is a PlayStation 2 game,
That I have played.
which is that plays a bit more like a card game to a degree, but it doesn't, because it's more like chess.
Yeah, I liked that about it. I liked that it was like a.
It is so
Tactical game.
strange. Because it's this tactical game where you want to fuse monsters together to make, not fusion monsters, just more monsters, because it doesn't play like Yu-Gi-Oh! And then you fight them, but the best thing is when you got into a fight with another monster, it made a little battlefield, and it had animations like it was like Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah.
Good stuff. That was cool. Oh goodness.
Dungeon Dice Monsters was another fun one.
Yeah, and Duelist of the Roses kind of plays similar to that to a degree, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games have a history of not playing like the card game at all. And they tend to be very weird. Like, the closest example is now that Duel Links exists, which is literally just a digital version of the card game like Magic the Gathering and you Pokemon all have.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that
And
kind
it
of
uses the Japanese ban list, too.
it kind of makes sense though, because even the card game doesn't play like the card game in the anime in a lot of ways.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. But
They
also,
they like
the
adapt-
American version changed it as well.
They like freaking adapted. Uh-oh, hold on. My headphones are dying. But they adapted the actual anime card game to the rules for the real card game, which I thought was weird. Okay, I got broken old headphones on now. We're gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon because I ain't dealing with this for very long. I think I just need to add like a few little details and I'll be good. And what I should add is like some actual kind of rough patches. Kind of like so. Now looks a little less uniform. And chat goes burr. What are we saying in chat? Oh, Dale's just talking about Metal Gear Solid. Ew. Alright, I want to add in some actual, what do we call this? Fog? Fog. That's what we call it. We're definitely gonna have to do some tweaking here. Let's erase all of that out. Throw a little more in back here. That kind of makes a nice depth of field there. Actually, we could probably add a little more further up. Then I want to throw in some nice glow layer. My headphones are straight up falling off of me. That don't look so bad. Don't put on stream. Alright, Dale, I won't put that on stream. You didn't have to show me that either. Dude, this is kind of freaking good. This is definitely one of those cases where I'm like, did I draw that? Okay, I want to put like a little bit of an outline on the bottom of the leaves here. Okay, let's expand selected area by 3 pixels. That's too much. Expand selected area by 1 pixel. How about that? I think that'll work. Alright, let's try this on these ones in the background. Oh, this one, I forgot about this side. Select, expand, 1. Okay, I wasn't gonna fix this, but it looks wrong. There we go. Now it's right. I think we're pretty good. You know what, though? We could use a creature in here. Dale did the Irish goodbye When you straight up leave some place without saying a word to anyone. You're forgiven, Dale. You're still in the chat hanging out. Let's see. What was I looking for? Oh yeah, creature art. Let's see what we can get in here.
Ah!
No, don't merge that with the layer, just rasterize it. Hold up. Alright. I'm just gonna paint some highlights on this guy. Don't be a pussy, Dale. You can handle the banter. Let's see if we can up the contrast on the leaves a bit. I feel like they're... tonal correction. Not that green. Desaturate those things a little bit. There we go. I think that'll work. What other kind of creature could we put in here? Pupode, perhaps? There we go. We'll rasterize him and throw some highlights on. At very low res. Just looked up the horse bird, Flill. How do you pronounce that? Like Flill. And he's not a horse bird, he's a Pegasus. Dale's suggesting the Gumbo family, but I feel like 2 creatures is probably enough for this picture. A Pegasus is basically a horse bird. I disagree. It doesn't have, like, a beak or anything like that. It just has wings. Shout out to my boy Peepoy. Peepoy is nocturnal. He wouldn't be in this scene though. I was thinking about maybe adding one of the fire frogs, but that might be too much blue. He'd just be sleeping. Well, I don't want to draw a new one. Oh yeah, there's one I was thinking of. I don't know, maybe this is too much blue still flying around in the sky. You know what? I'm gonna save the thing because I haven't done that this entire time. Frogs, please? You want to see the frogs? Come on, man. You've seen the frogs. Come on, man. Where's the other frogs? Oh, yeah. There you go, the frogs. Get a good look because I'm gonna close them. And Floglow too. Radpole and gang aren't on the website? I can tell because his name isn't Radpole. That's just the name of the emote that you're using. His name is actually Torpal. Yeah, a bunch of the newer ones are not on there yet. No, we're gonna put this behind those things. There we go. That'll be like a little Easter egg. Radpole is the best one though. Did I record the speed paint? I don't think I did for this one. I recorded it for the last one though. Oh, you didn't see the sketch I made, did you? There you go. This is what I did before you got here. This is what sparked the Ed and Eddie discussion. As he looks like he's saying, "Ed boys!" Let's see. Let's rasterize this, and then we'll like put a little bit of a shadow on him. Life has many doors, Ed boy. Rolf is definitely the fan favorite. What's going on up here, though? We gotta do something about this before I quit. Alright, that's a little better. Sketch of Arbro is shouting, face the tree of decision, Ed boy! I can't get that voice. Oh yeah, we also decided that we need a character that is a Rolf reference. One of the farmers. I think I might be done. I think this might be it. You know what though? We could use like one more layer. Just for the deep darks. And some of these guys in the foreground. Yeah. I think we're good, boys. I think this is all we're gonna do tonight. Let's see. Do we have anybody on any platforms that are raid friendly? Rumble and Twitch have been awfully quiet lately. I don't see anybody watching on Rumble. Or Twitch. Yeah, we ain't gonna be raiding anybody tonight. Have a good night, Diceback Boy. May the beef mounds never roll onto your turnips. Thank you, Rolf. And thank you guys for coming by and hanging out and watching and all that good stuff. And yeah, that'll be it for tonight. I'll see you guys. Oh, wait. Hold up. We gotta do one thing. Outro music. Bye!